Good morning, this is Chris from ampmruns, and today we have a review of my first run impressions of the On Cloudultra Pro. This is my first On Cloud shoe. It is a trail performance kind of race day ultra marathon shoe, which is something I am desperately wanting to get into in the future. A lot of my longer race runs have been trail runs, and I have a 30K coming up about a month, and these are the shoes I intend to take there. So I took these on a half marathon run last week, right out the box, did not break them in. I put them on, walked them around to record some B-roll shots that you'll see throughout this video, and then I drove 30 minutes away and ran a half marathon on some Florida trails. So it's not going to be the most technical or advanced trails that you've ever seen. I will take them on some more heightened technical trails, but for a lot of this, it was kind of loose packed gravel, large rocks, stuff like that. Large rocks being like big pebbles that your foot kind of rolls around on, but nothing too steep or incliney, so I can't necessarily speak to that, but I will take these eventually into more treacherous territory, and I will definitely follow up with my thoughts on that. So these are my first run impressions after literally taking them out of the box and then running a half marathon on some Florida trails. And the first impressions are extremely positive. I am really happy. These are my first On Cloud shoes. I have no experience with them besides going to running shoe stores, getting fitted for other shoes, and grabbing those On Clouds and squishing the back and going, wow, these look like they're hard as a rock. And I recently got new work shoes and I tried on a pair of On Clouds and they felt hard as a rock. And that was after I had already run in these. I don't think all On shoes are created equal, and I'm really glad about that because this shoe is excellent. This is probably one of my favorite shoes I've owned and run in. It is so comfortable, so responsive, and plush. You get a little bit of the trail feel so you can still tell where your feet are planted, but it is so comfortable. I will throw in some B-roll shots here. It was the first thing I noticed when I went to lace up these shoes is I have a big problem with lace bite when it comes to a lot of shoes that do really thin weight-saving tongues. When I put the laces over and I really got to cinch it down, I come up with lace bite a lot and I have to do a runner's loop so there's less tension up there but still tight. These have such a carefully padded tongue where it's super thin where it doesn't need it, and then where laces go over onto your foot is super padded and plush. And I noticed no issues, and I was so happy. It was an attention to detail that really grabbed me, where I was like, okay, this is what I feel people describe On shoes as, because they describe them as a premium, they charge a premium, but I've never really got that from any I've tried on or really looked at. And this one feels like they really thought through a lot of the important stuff. We have these beautiful sawtooth laces, my favorite type of laces. These don't move anywhere. They have an extremely long length, so you could definitely do a runner's loop. I had no need for that because, like I said, I was able to cinch it down no problem right off the bat, and it stayed on my foot the whole time. Through varied paces, I was doing low 7 minutes, I was doing high 9 minutes when I was tired, backing on and off throughout the whole half marathon, and it felt fantastic. No matter what speed or what leg strike and movement through the foot that I threw at it, no matter how tired my legs were, it was giving back to me about as much as I put in. On the midsole here, I will put up the stack in the back in the front. I'm sorry, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I do know this is the Helion HF. It's their super performance foam. It's a PIBA blend, and you can see they have these little On Cloud signature little clouds throughout here. Didn't really notice anything super special from those, unless that was part of the compression and bounce back that I was enjoying. The shoe as a whole flows together in a really thought through and careful way that I really love. So I'm gonna start back up at the top. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I'm just so excited. I really like these shoes, and I just want to spread the good word because I've kind of been an On hater for a while. I don't think I've put on or liked a pair of shoe from On until these, so I'm really happy. The rear padding in the heel counter is excellent, it is plenty durable, it looks great. It held up very well on my run, kept my foot in place, and it's not too thick or too structured where it was kind of nagging or anything like that. Certainly nothing like the Adidas Terrex Ultra that rubbed me in all sorts of places and blistered me up. Inside, we have a gusseted tongue with a very similar liner to the Adidas Terrex Ultra, which I was a little worried about because I think that's part of what bothered my foot there, but absolutely no problems on that. I think a lot of that comes from the structure of this upper. You can see it is so see-through. The upper is not orange, that is the insole inside, but you get this kind of light shining through effect where it looks orange at a lot of angles. It is very breathable. I'm not sure how much it would wade through water and kind of clear that water out, but from first impressions, I can only imagine it would do quite a good job because it is so thin up here, but it is still structured. It's this really awesome, it's again going back to the, like, people always describe On as being like premium materials and stuff, and I never really got that feel from any that I tried on or looked at until this shoe. I mean, it's soft to the touch, but it is breathable and it's so thinly woven. It is really nice. I'll try and put some real close-up B-roll. You can see it's like barely held on by these super thin strings in a lot of places, but it shows no signs of wear, and I beat on these shoes for those 13 miles, so I cannot wait to take these up into the hundreds of miles because I definitely will be doing that. They do have this line of separation, but both sections are actually the Helion HF foam with a, I believe it's nylon plate in between. I know it is not carbon fiber. I'm pretty sure the material is nylon. And they stated in a lot of the interviews and stuff I was reading about is that they didn't get the same snap and compression and cushion from the carbon fiber plate. They found it was too rigid, and I think that was a great decision. I don't know how this would feel with a carbon plate, but I can say with the nylon plate, it feels great. It is so squishy and poppy. It feels like a road super shoe transplanted with some nice lugs on the bottom here. You can see the tread pattern here is pretty good. I'm not a trail running expert, but I do know that these lugs are definitely thicker than the ones found on my Mount to Coast H1. And if you're wondering why I was interested in a shoe like this instead of the Mount to Coast H1, I do really love that shoe, but it kind of equates more into the daily trainer road to trail kind of category, and I wanted something more dedicated race day trail running because I do want to eventually get into some ultra marathon running, and I wanted something that could do those super long distances. And I am a big fan of plated shoes. I love when a plated shoe can kind of give you that spring back and pop back that you don't get from just a foam compression. And so that's what brought me to these shoes, and it worked out flawlessly. I didn't notice any slipping issues. I did go over quite a few wet rocks and wet areas. Where I was running was right along water with crashing waves that were wetting my legs a little bit, but I didn't notice any weird slips. I didn't fall. I had a couple sharp turns, no problems, kind of maneuvering and rotating around the shoe. It just did everything I asked from it perfectly. I don't have a note. I really don't have a complaint about this shoe. So I'm going to take this for more runs. I'm going to get this into the 50, 100, 200 mile range. I'm going to take these on all of my big trail runs that I'm doing. I'm just really satisfied, really happy with how this shoe came out. I'm really happy and excited to keep lacing it up. So I want to make this video my first impression so I can log this in case I start hating them in 50 miles, but also just in case anyone was looking for that trail super shoe that you can kind of do it all with. I've taken this from the low 7 paces up to the high 9s, even some 10s when I was really taxing myself. And I did some walking back and forth before and after for stretches, and it's just a comfortable, reliable, good shoe. So if you have any doubts about On as a brand and you're interested in trail shoes, I might suggest giving this shoe a try. You can pick this up on some decent deals right now. I've seen some a little under 200. I believe this retailed for around 260, but you can pick it up a little under 200 on a couple sites. I've seen it on Cloud site for sale. They do run out of sizes a lot, so you just might have to look around. It's not too popular, so I don't think they make too many colorways and stuff to get really good sales like you would on like a Nike shoe. Kind of falls more in that Mount to Coast like I was talking about in my end of year roundup, where you're not gonna see a lot of super deals on it, but for what it offers, I think its retail price is actually justified. I'm a really big fan of the shoe. Can't wait to lace it up, running it some more. Thank you so much for watching. It's the On Cloudultra Pro for their trail scene. I'm a big fan and I can't wait to run some more miles in it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.